Hey everybody, it's Don again. It is Sunday, February 9th, Super Bowl Sunday, and I hope everybody's going to enjoy the big game later on. I really don't care for either team, so I don't really care who wins. I just want to see a good game. It is a beautiful day here in Donaldson Park, in beautiful Highland Park, New Jersey. We had a couple of inches of snow and ice last night, and actually that's why I'm sitting in the car, because it's windy and it's cold. And I tried walking around, but the ground is crunching underneath my feet and getting my feet wet, so I decided to just come back and sit in the car to make this video. This video today is going to be about what I consider to be a huge problem in the world and something that everybody can help to change and make a difference in the world. Yesterday's video was about existentialism, which is the philosophy the world lives by without knowing that they do it. And I said that the basic tenet of existentialism is that if you can look yourself in the mirror and be okay with how you treat people and how you act, and then have no guilt or shame about it whatsoever, then you're free. Then you are perfectly fine. And I made the point of saying that that's absolutely incorrect and that you owe something to the world as a person. If you're going to make a contribution, if you're going to make a difference in the world, you owe something to the world. And what I said yesterday, of course, was the main thing that you owe to the world is obeying the golden rule and treating people the way you wanted to be treated. So yesterday's video is like the first in a trilogy. That about existentialism yesterday. Today I'm going to talk about the consequences of existentialism. And the next video that I make is going to be about overcoming existentialism and how you can introduce consciousness and presence into your life. So, the major consequence of existentialism, in my opinion, has been the loss of self-respect. And it's very easy to see. How can you detect when someone has no self-respect? And to me, the loss of self-respect is the world's biggest problem. And that's because the world has adopted existentialism as its philosophy and doesn't even realize it. So how do you detect no self-respect in somebody? And the major way to see it is the way they treat others. If you see a person who has the idea in their head or the attitude that they can treat people any way they want, and they feel they have the right to be rude, and they feel that they are better than other people, that shows that they have zero self-respect, because the hallmark of self-respect is treating others well, treating others the way you want to be treated, which again is obeying the golden rule. And how does the lack of self-respect manifests itself in everyday behavior? You see people who are feel they have the right to be rude, people who are lazy and don't do any exercise, people who eat badly, people who get addicted to drugs. Now I know that's going to be a touchy subject for some people because, yes, some people can't help being addicted to drugs. They have an addictive personality. Yes, I understand all of that. But there is still an aspect to it where if you are a person who uses drugs on a regular basis and you're not necessarily addicted to them and you rely on them to get through the day, then that is a lack of self-respect. Okay? Other ways that lack of self-respect manifests itself. Let's talk about littering. When you see somebody who just throws away their garbage, throws it on the ground and just leaves it there, that shows that they have zero self-respect. What gives you the right to actually deface this planet, the planet that sustains you? You have no right to do that whatsoever. You, as a person who is responsible and has self-respect, you pick up whatever you bring with you and you take it home and throw it away. Okay. Other ways that lack of self-respect shows itself, like when I have to do laundry in the community, laundry room downstairs. You walk down there and you open the lint trap, and the lint trap is full of lint. Nobody cleaned it out. That's a lack of self-respect right there, because they're showing that they don't have any respect for their neighbors whatsoever. People abuse that laundry room on a regular basis. They come down and they bring their stuff there. They just put their stuff in the laundry and they leave it there for hours. And then they don't come back and get it for hours so that nobody else can use the machines that everybody should be able to use. If they just leave it there for a long time. I know that when I'm doing my laundry, I set my stopwatch, and when I come downstairs, when the time runs out, I go right downstairs and change my laundry and get it out of there as quickly as I can so other people can use it. Okay? there are so many other ways that lack of self-respect manifests itself. Like when you see somebody who is waiting to pick somebody up, and they're on a street, and they're double parked. They're just sitting there. Sometimes they don't even have their hazard lights on. They're just sitting there on the side of the road, double parked, blocking the way for other people. And they're too lazy to move their car 15 or 20 feet up to where there is a spot where they can park next to the curb and wait for that person. No, they'd rather just sit there and block traffic and wait for that person. That's a lack of self-respect on their part, and it's a lack of self-respect for the person they're picking up, from the person they're picking up, because that person could just say, hey, just wait for me down the street and I'll be right there. If you take good care of yourself, you should be able to walk 20 extra feet, in my opinion. So what are the consequences of lack of self-respect? This is the whole point. What happens when you live a life where you have no self-respect? You accept mediocrity. Because if you have no respect for yourself, you have no respect for others, you expect nothing from yourself and you expect nothing from others. So therefore, mediocrity becomes the standard. And that is where the biggest consequence of lack of self-respect has manifested. We now accept mediocrity within ourselves and within others. We expect it. That's why the lack of self-respect becomes sort of a vicious cycle. Because if you don't hold yourself to any sort of high standards, you hold nobody else to any high standards, so you expect nothing from anybody. And that is a real big problem. If you hold yourself up and you set an example of self-respect for others to follow, other people will recognize that. Other people will respect that, and then they will begin to expect more from themselves. When that starts to happen, when you see a movement like that happen, then you will begin to see a real change in this world. The acceptance of mediocrity has real consequences. When you accept mediocrity in leaders, for instance, then you get leaders who don't care about people, who don't show any concern for others. Their only concern is the consolidation of their power and the accumulation of greater wealth. That is a real problem. That stops the progress of mankind, and that stops people from bringing presence into the world, which will be the subject of the next video. So when you are thinking about yourself on a daily basis, when you wake up in the morning, how are you thinking about conducting yourself during the day, okay? Are you thinking about how you're going to make yourself better? Are you thinking about that workout that you're going to have today? Or are you just going to sit around and are you going to go to work today? You're going to do that term they've been using lately on LinkedIn, quiet quitting. In other words, you're there, you're going through the motions, but you're not really trying very hard. And that may be maybe because of the conditions you have at your job, and I can understand that. I'm not being I'm not trying to be too judgmental in what I'm saying here, but what I am saying is that if you're there and you don't have a sort of a drive or any sort of goal or objective at your job, then you're in the wrong job, and you have to try to find a new one. And in another video, of course, I've talked about finding your passion. When you find that passion, when you can't wait to get to what you're doing during the day, and that sort of drives you all day long, and you can sit there and you look at the clock and all of a sudden 2 or 3 hours has gone by and you're like, wow, where did that time go? You have no idea. That is when you follow that passion, that's what leads to self-respect. So that's another aspect, another thing that ties in from a previous video to what I'm talking about now. Finding your passion is a key to gaining your self-respect, because when you have that when you're following that sort of passion, then you have that feeling every day inside of you that you're triumphing, that you are doing something good, and that leads to a feeling of self-respect. And then that sort of feeling is going to carry over into other aspects of your life, and you're going to be feeling better about yourself. You want to take better care of yourself. You want to, set an example for other people to follow. You are more sort of upright and, what's what I'm looking for, like substantial in your behavior, and people see that, and people respect that. And then they may start thinking that they need to follow that same example for themselves. They're going to see you, they're going to say, wow, that guy has it together. or that woman has it together. I need to be more like that. They want to emulate you. And then when you set that kind of example for others, then you help create a real change in the world where other people can follow that. Because the recognition of lack of self-respect and the sort of the reversal of the problem would make a real big difference in this world, because people would not be accepting the mediocrity within themselves, and then they wouldn't accept it in others either, and everybody's going to have to step it up and move to a higher standard of behavior for themselves and others, and that would begin to generate a real change in the world. And that is, it's sort of like a malaise, like a mass mental illness that has overtaken the world. Because of the fact that we've accepted existentialism, we now have lost our self-respect, and then you see the effects that it has on the world. There's a basic lack of caring. People just don't care about each other. A basic lack of compassion. People don't care about each other because they don't care about themselves. And that is a real problem. People think that they are powerless to improve themselves or create a better world for themselves. And nothing could be further from the truth. When you start, and that will be part of the next video too. When you start to realize the power that you have within you, the power that you have to bring presence and consciousness into the world, then you realize that having a lack of self-respect is completely the wrong way to go. And you are lost. And you can find your way back by following that path, which I will talk about in the next video. And I hope everybody likes this video, that you are that you comment on it, that you subscribe, and I hope everybody enjoys their Sunday and the Super Bowl, and peace to everybody. And I'm doing these videos because I can state flatly that I have my self-respect. I don't accept mediocrity within myself. I recognize that I am mediocre in some ways. There's no doubt about it. But I also don't accept it, and I'm working on improving myself on a daily basis. I hope everybody wants to do the same thing. Peace, prosperity, happiness to everyone on this great Super Bowl Sunday.